Hello, and welcome to Inventors Helping Inventors. I'm your host, Alan Beckley, inventor of the Wonder Wallet. If you're an inventor searching for proven ways to make money with your invention, if you dream to see your product selling in stores everywhere, you've come to the right place. There's no better place to get help than from experts, inventors who've already achieved success. Every week, I interview successful inventors, asking them the questions you want to know. Tune in to learn from the experts so you can get your invention out of the tank and into the bank. You will always find the time to do things that are of high priority for you. Look at how you're using your time, and that points to what is priority. I want to thank you for being a loyal listener to the Inventors Helping Inventors podcast. Come this January, it will have been going for 6 years. Can you believe that? And it wouldn't be going if it weren't for listeners like you. Whether this is your first time listening or your 100th time or more, I appreciate every listener, and I love hearing from you. You can always reach me at alan@alanbeckley.com. But I'd like to ask you to do 2 things that can help the podcast immensely. The first one is tell a friend about the podcast. Tell another inventor. And even if they've never listened to a podcast, they can listen to every episode by going to alanbeckley.com/podcast. So if you spread the word, that'll help immensely. The other one, if you don't mind taking just 2 or 3 minutes and give a rating and review on either Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen. That makes a huge difference in drawing more listeners to the podcast. So once again, thank you so much for being a loyal listener, and I enjoy bringing you these podcasts every week. If you've listened to this podcast for a while, you've heard me talking about the Inventors Bootcamp, right? Over the last 3 years, hundreds of inventors have joined us in the Inventors Bootcamp, and we have lots of exciting success stories from our students. But guess what? The bootcamp is not for everyone. If you like to tinker with invention ideas occasionally on weekends, hoping that someday someone will buy your idea, the Inventors Bootcamp is not for you. If you think it's your job to just come up with ideas and someone else can take care of the rest, prototypes, packaging, and contacting companies, the Inventors Bootcamp is not for you. But if inventing really matters to you, if you know deep in your heart that you've got an invention ripe for success, if you're willing to learn and do whatever it takes to be successful, I'm here to help you, and the Inventors Bootcamp is your ticket, your next logical step forward. So, what is it? When is it? And how do you sign up? The Inventors Bootcamp is 5 days of live interactive Zoom meetings. Monday, December 9th through Friday, December 13th, for 1 hour each night. Teaches you precisely how to create a clear, concise marketing message, which is exactly what companies want to hear. When you join us, you'll meet other inventors, plus you get a licensing masterclass, and lots more. The next Inventors Bootcamp starts very soon. Monday, December 9th. Enrollment is open now. Just go to www.alanbeckley.com/bootcamp. Many podcast listeners, just like you, have joined the Inventors Bootcamp. Here are just a few of our success stories. Duncan Ashworth has 2 companies interested in licensing his COVID-killing floor sanitizing invention. Daryl Carter secured a business partner and licensing arrangement. His asthma relief product debuts this fall. And Julietta Hughes tested her portrait artist invention. Now she's got a clear strategy for reaching out to companies to license it. Ready to add your success story to our list? The bootcamp is your ticket. Register now at www.alanbeckley.com/bootcamp to save your seat in the December bootcamp. Welcome to episode number 464. Today I don't interview anyone. because this is another Me on the Mic episode. But I have something to share with you that I think is going to be of value. And I'll be honest, what I'm going to be sharing with you has a little tough love in it, and I may end up shattering a myth or two that you have along the process. And this is going to be particularly of value, I believe, as we approach the end of 2024 and get ready to start a new year, 2025. Now, I'm making the assumption that if you're listening to this podcast, that inventing is something that is important to you. So with that, let's get started. And the title we're going to be using for today's episode is You Have Enough Time to Invent. Because I just got to share with you, so many people tell me, "Oh, Alan, I've got some ideas and I really want to be a successful inventor, but I'm so busy. I just don't have enough time to invent." Now, you might have heard yourself say that, and you certainly probably heard others. Well, I'm about to dispel this myth for you, and the myth is that you don't have enough time for fill in the blank. So let's break it down with the numbers. Everyone, rich or poor, has exactly the same amount of time each day and each week. So the total hours in each week is 24 hours a day times 7 days a week, or 168 hours per week. Every person on planet Earth has that many hours per week, including you. But let's look at how those hours are allocated. Let's talk about available hours each week. So let's do some math. We start with 168 hours total, but the reality is you need to sleep, don't you? And I recommend 8 hours of sleep a night. So there's 8 hours times 7. So we're going to subtract 56 hours each week for sleep. Odds are you probably work full time, probably. And I'm going to allocate 45 hours per week for your work. And that's 40 hours plus 5 hours for commuting. Yours could be a little different. Maybe you have a little bit more, could be a little bit less, but let's just say 45 hours for work. And the reality is, throughout the week, we all have errands that we have to run. So I'm going to say you need 7 hours for errands each week, about an hour each day. And I'm going to suggest spend time with family and friends. Let's make it 7 hours each week, an hour a day, every day of the week. What about eating? We do have to eat, don't we? So I'm going to suggest 26 hours for meals. How do I come up with that? Well, I look at it this way. If you work full-time, probably, at least at home, you eat breakfast and dinner 5 days a week. So that's 10 hours. And then you have breakfast, lunch, and dinner on Saturday and Sunday. So there's another 6 hours. That adds up to 26 hours. And then I'm going to say 14 hours for watching television. And this is 2 hours per day. And I'm going to finally finish with 5 hours per week for recreation. Now, once you subtract all of those hours I gave you in this particular example from your 168-hour week, you still have approximately 8 hours each week for inventing, if it's a priority for you. So let me go to my next topic here, and that is you will always find the time to do things that are of high priority for you. Look at how you're using your time, and that points to what is priority. So regarding sleeping, I would say most people spend too little time, not too much. And guess what? People find a way to work at their job because paying the bills is a priority. Eating meals, also important. Most people manage to take care of that one. And unfortunately, watching television, Actually, AC Nielsen says the average person actually spends 4 hours per day, 28 hours a week. That is a lot of time to devote to television. And let me just assure you something. You will never make money from watching TV. So a suggestion that I have is watching television is one of the areas that you could certainly reduce the amount of time you spend there if inventing, for example, is a priority for you. The final point I wanted to move to is once you go through and do your own math for yourself, sit down and spend some time at it, looking for how much time for sleep, how much for work, how much for errands. Make you a time budget for each day and for the week. Then match your time for each activity to the value it has for you. And include inventing in there somewhere. How much time per week do you want to spend inventing? And then from all of this, create a schedule that will work for you. And here's the tough part. Stick to it. Apply discipline, because that's where you'll get the benefit. I'll give you an example I've done a couple of times in the past on the podcast. About 2 years ago, I was talking with a friend of mine who's a writer. And I was telling him how I really wanted to write this novel, this dystopian fiction novel that today I call Earth 2040 Rise of the Bots. And the more I talked to Sean, he'd say, well, what have you written? And I said, well, I've not written anything. It's just in my head. And he says, Alan, you've got to spend time every day if this is ever going to happen. So I practiced what I'm preaching to you today. I decided that I would spend an hour a day, each day, writing in my book. Be early in the morning before I did other things that would be my early morning ritual. And not every single day, but pretty close to it. So let me tell you what's happened because of that. Over the last 18 months, writing 1 hour each day into my book, I now have 134,000 words written on my book. I've finished the first manuscript, and that equates to about a 320-page book. So I've actually created a book by devoting no more than an hour a day to writing. So even small amounts of time spread over time and stayed with a disciplined approach can produce results. Let's just recap real quickly. So when people tell me, oh, I just don't have enough time for inventing, key points I want to make is everyone has exactly 24 hours each day, 168 hours each week, and you tend to allocate the things that matter to you. So you take your 168 hours and subtract out the hours for the various activities you have. And it's pretty easy to have it available for at least 8 hours for inventing, but you make your own budget. And again, I want to stress, you will always find time to do the things that are of high priority for you. So think about that as you're making your time budget out. And you'll get a real big benefit, I can assure you, if you will take the time and effort to create a time budget for yourself for the activities that matter and include inventing in there somewhere. Maybe you only spend time on your invention on the weekends, maybe 2 hours on Saturday, 2 hours on Sunday, but make it specific times that you're dedicating each time or it will never happen. Thanks as always for listening, and we'll be talking to you again soon. So you're done searching for your product and it's not out there. Yay! Maybe you filed for a provisional patent and done some marketing research or surveys. Heck, maybe you've even created a rough prototype, then found that, although it kind of works, it looks like something from the Stone Age. You'd be embarrassed to show it to your friends, much less to a manufacturer for a licensing pitch. What if I could put you in touch with a guy who offers free consultations, takes no money down, no money up front, and will give you a quote on your project before he starts? What if I told you that this same guy can help you design your product and make you a virtual prototype before you ever put a penny into building a physical one. What if I told you he could make you patent drawings, CAD files for manufacturing, and even make marketing videos and build you a website? If this sounds like someone you want to talk to, let me introduce you to my first podcast sponsor, Brian Keast at I Draw Dreams for Inventors. With 3.5 years of trade school and 15 years of mechanical experience working as a mechanic for General Motors, you have someone that's seen countless design failures and how they were fixed. Also, he had a 25-year career as a general contractor who designed his own houses and remodels on computer-aided design. In getting plans through countless building departments, he gained a tremendous amount of experience by working directly with structural engineers. The many years of combined experience in these two careers gave him a unique look into stresses and failures in design. He brings this wealth of knowledge and experience to his company, I Draw Dreams, as the CAD guy who will design a product for you that will work. Every inventor I've referred to Brian has come away delighted with the work he has done for them, and I think you will too. Just make sure to tell them that Alan sent you. Thanks so much for tuning in to Inventors Helping Inventors. If you like the show, please tell your friends about it. Make sure to subscribe in iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts so you won't miss a single episode. Talk to you soon.